Hey, what's going on everybody? Tony here from rchelp.com, and in the last video I showed you guys how to rebuild the shocks. Now the first thing we need to do is we need to get the wheels and tires off. Don't be bugging me that the rears are backwards. I know they're backwards. I had to take the tires off in order to put the rear bumper on, and when I put the tires back on, I put them on backwards. My fault. Anyway, take tires off. Now that we got the tires off, we got a little bit more room to work. And because we have the shocks off, we got the tires off, we got everything off, we can look at the actual suspension and see how it is before we go any further. What you want to do is hold your vehicle like this. Pull up on the suspension and then let go of it. If it drops pretty quickly under its own weight, then it's fine. That one's a little slow, not too bad. On the rear suspension, you see how slow that one is. That one, not too shabby. But, look at all that crap. That crap is all around, everywhere. Yes, I've been playing with it. I still have fuel in the tank. It hasn't been shut off that long. Anyway, what we need to do is we need to get all the suspension off, because all of that has to be cleaned out. Now, how would I normally do this if I had just got done running and I knew it was already clean? Let me show you. An air blower can work wonders. Craigslist, Harbor Freight, any discount tool store, you can get a pancake air compressor. It will be plenty for working on these. You can keep it in an apartment. These are going to be your best friend with nitro, because that's why. These things can clean your truck very, very quickly. If you're worried about air pressure blowing a line off or messing up a rubber seal or something like that, you don't have to squeeze this thing all the way down. That's what I like about these big air blowers, is you can go from a very little amount to a full 150 psi, which is what my air compressor is rated at. Anyway, this isn't going to do us much good because there is so much crap caked under this thing. But I also want to look at the differentials. If you notice, this differential, which I know you guys can't feel it like I can, but this differential is a little bit gummy. Not all that bad, but this back one feels about like the engine felt. It's extremely dirty and just nowhere near where it's supposed to be. As you can see, I've removed the front and rear bumper. In order to get these back screws out, you're going to have to remove this engine. I'm going to go through and clean this entire vehicle because it needs it. It's way past due. I know underneath these covers are dirty. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this fuel tank. Let me show you guys a little trick. If you will pinch your fuel line right here by the carburetor and pull it off. Make sure to keep the end of it above where the fluid level is. Pull off your pressure line and then plug that line right into the pressure. What that's going to do is it's going to create a loop to where no fuel can spill out of this tank. Then there's 4 screws that hold the fuel tank in, and we're just going to take the whole fuel tank out. Now that all 4 screws are out, the fuel tank will just simply pull off. As you can see, the loop is going to keep it from spilling any fuel no matter which way it goes. If you knock it over, it's not a big deal. Now once you remove any screws or parts from your vehicle, stick the screws back in there, and that'll keep you from actually losing any of the screws. You'll know exactly where they go. Now let's get the engine. If you remember, 4 screws underneath and then 1 screw right here that holds the muffler, and this entire thing will come out. Once all that's loose, you just remove your engine. Don't forget to take off your linkage. Take out 3 servos, take out the receiver, take out the receiver pack. That's going to open up this entire area. Alright, as you can see, the engine's removed, muffler is removed, fuel tank is removed, receiver pack removed, receiver removed, and all 3 servos are removed. That leaves us with almost a bare chassis and a transmission sitting in the middle of it. We could just take the transmission out, undo the CV joints and stuff like that, but we want to go completely through this. Now on some of the vehicles like Losi and Associated, you got to take E-clips off and then push the pins out. These aren't that way. These are held in with Phillips screws. Simply unscrew them, and they're going to be tight, so you might want to leave that screwdriver in there so you can kind of turn it, and then you just pull the whole pin out. I'm going to do that for the rest of them and take out the screws to get the linkages off. Once you take that screw out and you take the 2 suspension arm screws out, the CV joint will just slip out. Simple as that. I'm going to get all the suspension arms off and then come back. Now that we've got all the A-arms off, we're down to the basic bones of this thing. If you look right in there, you can see just how much dirt there is. I mean, just caked on this thing. And if I hadn't already taken this off and cleaned it, you'd see what's underneath it. But for now, we'll flip it over, take the skid plates off, and we'll get ready to take that transmission out. Now here you can see this is the front skid plate. This one I basically took a screwdriver and just scraped the stuff off like that, and I'm not kidding you, it was that friggin' deep. It was horrible. The rear skid plate will sit right here, and you can still see just all that crap that is just caked on there. But the front skid plate isn't really something to write home about. That's disgusting. Now, whenever you go to put this back together, remember there are 3 different size screws that go through these skid plates. 2 different size screws in the rear, 3 different in the front. You've got really, really short, which are going to go into these 2 little holes right here that also go into these steering knuckles right here. And you've also got 8 short screws. They're going to go through these holes here and go into these plastic arms or plastic braces. Then you're going to have 8 of your real long screws. They're going to go through this metal plate, which is also on this one, even though it fell out. And they're going to go directly down here into these blocks that actually hold the differential. Don't get those mixed up. You need to put them into the correct area. These differentials, they have a lot of torque on them. They need those longer bolts with more threads in them to help hold the case halves together. Don't mix them up. Now when I spin this, there is a real tight spot right in there, and it kind of concerns me. It comes and goes, which tells me there's something balling up inside. Don't worry that it's actually sitting on the spur, because this thing actually has an internal clutch that kicks in. So that's not the issue. The issue is either in the front or rear differential or the center diff. One or all of those places is not the way it should be. And it's our job to figure it out. Now to get the transmission out, not only are there going to be 8 screws along this brace, but you also need to take out these grub screws. Now, they're not exactly grub screws, because grub screws use a compression fitting. These grub screws actually have a pin. They go through the CV joint into the differential. Don't friggin' lose those things. Take it out of both the front and the rear. Now that we have those out, there's only 4 screws holding the front and 4 screws holding the rear differentials in. And that is these 4 screws here, and the same up here. These 2 screws are going to go to the steering knuckles. We will be taking these off, but just not right yet. Now that we're taking the last screw out of the rear, these screws that are coming out are also just like what goes through this metal plate. They're the long ones, same thread, same length. Now, I guess you could take it apart that way and just slip it out, but we want to take the whole thing apart. That whole CV joint will come off of the differential. Do that for the front and the rear. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we need to get the transmission out and get this servo mount off so that we can have a little bit more access. But before we do that, let's remove these steering knuckles. Steering knuckle off. Throttle servo mount is off. Now it's time for the transmission. To get these screws out, I don't actually have a screwdriver that's skinny enough to get into these holes. But a flat blade, if you can get it set into that Phillips head screw just right, a flat blade will take a Phillips head screw out. You just have to be really careful. There you can see the 4 screws that go through into the transmission. Now we just need to take off the other side. Well guys, how is this for a pile of parts? What are we going to do now? What we're going to do is The first thing I want to do is I want to get into these and into the transmission. There's something going on in them, something's binding up, I don't know what it is, and I want to find out. This is going to be easy to clean. I have a parts washer. If you don't, WD-40 and a red rag will clean that chassis right up. A-arms, same thing, little WD-40. Check your wheel bearings. If they are not smooth, then you need to take your axle shaft out from the wheel bearing and clean out all your bearings. Check to make sure your pivot balls are all nice and free. If they're not, you're going to have to clean them. All of this dirt has to come off. The fuel tank, as I already explained, we're just going to blow it off, maybe wipe it off with a little WD-40. So guys, that's where I'm going to end this one. The differentials will be one video. The transmission is going to be another video in itself because of what all's inside it. There's actually quite a bit going on in here with 2 gears, a clutch, reverse, all sorts of stuff. They've even got a way to take the reverse out of the transmission, but I don't really want to do that. I kind of like having reverse, and I'm not racing in any NORCA sanctioned events or nothing like that, so I don't have to worry about rules. Guys, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something. I will be back to show you how to get all this stuff put back together, how to rebuild everything. Then we're going to get some video of this thing actually driving around, even though I've actually cheated and already drove this thing. I drove the crap out of it too. I guarantee I'm going to pick up 25% more speed and 25% more power. The motor will not make more power and put it to the ground. Freeing these differentials up will actually free up the power that is already there. So guys, thanks for watching. We will see you guys in the next video.